All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the legendary P-51 Mustang.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
Yeah, this one is special. We've got an amazing audio documentary ready to go, packed with firsthand accounts from the pilots who actually flew these incredible machines in World War II.
It's amazing to hear their stories, right?
Absolutely. Talk about bringing history to life.
It really gives you a whole new perspective on what these guys went through.
Okay, let's get started. So the Mustang has, like, this crazy origin story. It was developed in a whirlwind, 127 days. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's unbelievably fast, even by today's standards.
Right. The British desperately needed a new fighter plane, and North American aviation just stepped up and delivered.
And what they delivered was revolutionary. It wasn't just fast. The P-51's design was incredibly innovative.
Okay, so break it down for us. What made it so special?
Well, take the wing design, for example. They used a laminar flow design.
Laminar flow. Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
Basically, the air flowed super smoothly over the wing's surface,
I-
which dramatically reduced drag.
Making it more efficient.
Exactly, more efficient and faster. It could fly farther on the same amount of fuel.
Wow, that's a huge advantage, especially in a war where every drop of fuel mattered.
Absolutely, and it gave the Mustang a real edge over its German rivals.
Like the Messerschmitt Brie F-109, the one we always hear about.
Exactly. The Mustang could really hold its own against the 109, especially at higher altitudes.
And then they added the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine to the mix.
Ah, the Merlin. It's an iconic engine.
Gave the Mustang that extra punch, right?
Yeah, the Merlin was a game changer. It provided the power the Mustang needed to become a true aerial predator.
So you've got this incredible aerodynamic design, this powerhouse of an engine, and then you put a skilled pilot in the cockpit. No wonder the P-51 became a legend.
And speaking of skilled pilots, have you heard of Captain Donald S. Bryan?
I don't think so. Should I have?
Well, his story from November 2nd, 1944 is incredible. Just the kind of story that made the Mustang so famous.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So picture this. Bryan is deep inside enemy territory,
Uh-oh.
outnumbered 3-1 by German fighters. But here's the thing. He wasn't fazed at all.
Really?
Nope, he actually described the 109s as easy meat. That's how confident these Mustang pilots were.
Wow, that's some serious swagger.
Right, but that confidence was definitely put to the test.
What happened?
Well, he encountered this German pilot in a souped-up 109. This guy was different. He was actually outmaneuvering Bryan.
No way. So what did Brian do?
He had to pull off this crazy, desperate maneuver. He called it an inverted vertical reversement.
An vertical reversement. Try saying that 5 times fast.
I know, right? It's a mouthful. But basically, he intentionally stalled the aircraft.
Intentionally stalled. That sounds terrifying.
It was incredibly risky. He used the propeller's force to spin the Mustang around and then dove to regain speed.
Wow, that takes some serious guts and skill.
It does. It was a testament to Bryan's ability as a pilot and the agility of the Mustang.
So he survived this crazy maneuver.
Yeah.
What happened next? Did he just hightail it out of there?
Nope, not Bryan. He was still in the fight. And he spotted a squadron mate in trouble, being chased by a German fighter. Even though he was low on ammo, Bryan dove in to save his buddy.
Talk about a wingman. That's incredible.
It is, right?
That's the kind of camaraderie you don't often hear about.
It's really remarkable. You can see how Bryan's aggressive flying style, coupled with the Mustang's maneuverability, made them such a formidable force in the European theater.
It was like the perfect combination.
Exactly. The right aircraft and the right pilot at the right time.
So what happened in the end?
Well, Bryan ended up with 5 kills that day, out of the 38 claimed by Mustangs in that single engagement.
5 kills. That's amazing.
And none of it would have been possible without the P-51's incredible range.
Right, because they were deep in enemy territory, right?
Yeah.
The Mustang could fly a lot farther than other fighters, right?
Absolutely. The Mustang's range was a game changer, especially in the vast European theater. It could fly over 1,400 miles.
Wow, that's more than double the range of many other Allied fighters.
Exactly. And there's a great quote from Gunther Rall.
The German ace.
Yeah, one of the best. He said, and I quote, "The P-51 was able to do for 6 hours what the 109 was able to do for 90 minutes. That sums it up perfectly.
That's a huge difference.
It was a game changer. Think about it. Mustangs could escort bombers all the way to Berlin and back from bases in England.
No way. So they were protecting the bombers all the way there and back.
Yep. That long-range capability was critical to the success of the Allied bombing campaign.
It's amazing how one design element could have such a big impact. And it wasn't just in Europe where range played a crucial role. Remember those pilots in the Tokyo
Oh
Club?
yeah, those guys had it rough.
Flying escort missions from Iwo Jima all the way to mainland Japan.
Talk about grueling missions. Those flights were over 1,300 miles round trip.
I can't even imagine. The constant threat of enemy fighters, the fatigue, the sheer mental and physical stamina it must have taken. Just incredible.
Yeah, the Pacific Theater had its own unique set of challenges.
And the Mustang was right there in the thick of it.
Right alongside those brave pilots.
To get a real sense of what those pilots went through, let's look at Lieutenant Robert Scamra's mission.
Okay, what happened to him?
This was on June 23rd, 1945. It really highlights what those long-range Pacific missions were like.
All right, lay it on me.
Scamra and his squadron were on a mission to strafe a Japanese airfield.
Sounds dangerous.
It was. As they approach their target, they get ambushed.
Ambushed by what?
A whole swarm of Japanese fighters.
Oh, man. Talk about a bad day at the office.
Zeros and N1K George fighters coming at them from every direction. Total chaos.
So what did Scamra do?
He breaks formation, which, is a big no-no. But when you're under fire like that, survival instincts take over.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly. Now, luckily, Scamra was flying a P-51D model.
Ah, the D model. What was special about it?
It had this revolutionary new piece of tech, the K-14 gyroscopic gun sight.
Right, the K-14, that thing was a game changer.
Tell me about it.
So, imagine this. You input the wingspan of the enemy aircraft into the gun sight,
Okay.
and it calculates the lead for you. Makes it so much easier to hit a moving target in the air.
Wow. So it basically did the aiming for you.
Well, not exactly, but it gave you a much better chance of hitting your target, especially in a chaotic dogfight.
That sounds incredibly useful. So what happened with Scamra? Did you put the K-14 to good use?
Oh yeah, he did. He and his wingman took down 2 George fighters. But then a Ki-84 Frank shows up.
A Frank? I don't know that one.
The Frank was known as the fastest Japanese fighter at the time. A real beast.
Sounds like things just went from bad to worse.
Yeah, this was a serious challenge, even for a skilled pilot like Scamra.
So what happened? Did he manage to take down the Frank?
Well, he managed to evade it, but it was a close call. At one point, he even had to stall his Mustang to get a shot off.
Stalling in a dogfight. That sounds incredibly risky.
It is, but sometimes it's the only way to shake an enemy off your tail, especially a fast one like the Frank.
So he survived. What about his wingman?
Sadly, his wingman, John Scandon, wasn't so lucky. His plane got hit and burst into flames.
Oh no.
Scamra watched helplessly as Scandon bailed out.
What happened to him? Did he survive?
He bailed out, but years later, Scamra discovered the horrifying truth. Scandon had been lynched by a civilian mob after being released from a Japanese infirmary.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the horrors of war extend far beyond the battlefield. So incredibly tragic. So the Mustang went up against the best piston engine fighters the Axis powers had to offer,
And it more than held its own.
proving itself in both Europe and the Pacific. But things were changing rapidly in the world of aviation.
Yeah, a new era was dawning. The jet age.
And the Germans were at the forefront of this technological revolution with the Messerschmitt Me 262.
The world's first operational jet fighter? Talk about a game changer.
And our next story throws us right into this clash between old and new. It's April 7th, 1945. Lieutenant Richard Candelaria is flying solo, protecting a formation of B-24 bombers.
Wait, why was he alone?
The rest of his squadron was delayed due to bad weather. So he was out there on his own.
Wow, facing the unknown. Talk about pressure.
And then, out of the clouds, 2 Me-262s appear.
I bet that got his attention. Can you imagine seeing those things for the first time?
I can only imagine. So he's in this P-51, a fantastic aircraft, but suddenly he's up against jets.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Right. The Me-262 could fly over 100 miles per hour faster than the Mustang, and it was more heavily armed.
And it could climb way faster. Talk about a mismatch.
It was like David versus Goliath, but with wings.
What did Candelaria do? Did he just run?
He knew he couldn't outrun them. His only option was a head-on attack.
Wow, a head-on attack against jets. That's incredibly risky.
He pushes his Mustang to over 450 miles per hour and charges straight at those Me-262s. What a gutsy move.
You had to disrupt their attack somehow, right? Protect those bombers.
Exactly. But the German pilots were good. They anticipated his move and adjusted their course, throwing off his aim.
So he couldn't get a clear shot.
No, he was running out of options fast. He couldn't pull up much more without risking a blackout from the G-forces.
It sounds like he was in a really tight spot.
He was desperate. But Candelaria had one last trick up his sleeve. He jettisoned his external fuel tank.
Whoa, Wait, his fuel tank?
Yeah, he figured why not? Maybe he could hit them with it or at least force them to maneuver.
That's thinking outside the box. Did it work?
It worked. The tank didn't hit the jets directly, but it did force them to break off their attack and swerve to avoid it. That split-second decision gave Candelaria the opening he needed.
Wow, that's amazing. Talk about quick thinking under pressure. Gave him the chance to turn the tables. He did this incredible maneuver, a split S, trading altitude for speed, and boom, he was right behind those Me-262s.
Talk about a reversal of fortune. I bet that took some serious flying skills, though, and nerves of steel.
Oh, absolutely. It's a high G maneuver, and you had to be super precise to avoid blacking out or overstressing the aircraft.
So he's right on the tail of these jets, his Mustang screaming through the air. Did he get a shot off?
He did. He managed to get off a few good bursts, and one of those jets starts trailing black smoke.
A hit. I knew it. What a story. But it wasn't over yet, was it?
Not even close. While he's focusing on that damaged jet, the other Me-262 comes up behind him.
Oh man, talk about a double whammy.
It just shows how important situational awareness is in a dogfight. Things can change in an instant, and you have to be constantly looking out for threats.
So what saved him this time?
Well, a bit of luck and some smart thinking from his crew chief. See, his crew chief had installed these small mirrors on the canopy to give him a wider field of view.
What a great idea. Those ground crews were unsung heroes, weren't they?
Absolutely. They were vital to the success of these missions. Anyway, those mirrors allowed Candelaria to spot that second jet just in time.
Whew, that was a close one. So what happened? Did he take out the second jet?
He managed to dodge the jet's attack, but it was just too fast for him to catch. That jet zoomed off, leaving Candelaria with a few scratches, but ultimately victorious. He protected those bombers, even against those fearsome jets.
Talk about a skilled pilot, proving that even with a technological disadvantage, a well-flown Mustang could still hold its own.
Exactly. But his story highlights how quickly air combat was changing. The jet age was upon them.
And I bet it wasn't just about the technology, it was the tactics, too. Right?
Oh, for sure. Jet fighters required a whole new approach to aerial combat, a whole new set of skills for pilots to master.
So Candelaria's done for the day, right? He's faced down jets. He's earned a rest.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But this guy just couldn't catch a break. As he's rejoining the bomber formation, he encounters another group of enemy fighters.
No. You're kidding, right? How many more?
15 Me-109s this time, and guess what? He's still alone.
Are you serious? This guy was a magnet for enemy fighters. What did he do? Did he try to run?
Not Candelaria, he dives right into the fray.
Yeah?
Amazing. He immediately targets the lead Me-109. It was bright yellow, a real show-off.
A yellow 109.
Yeah.
So the pilot was either super confident or a little crazy.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of both. Candelaria tries to get a clear shot at him, but those bombers are right there. He doesn't want to risk hitting them.
Yeah, friendly fire's a nightmare. So what did he do?
He tries this incredibly risky maneuver, passing under the Me-109 and pulling up sharply behind it.
Talk about threading the needle. Sounds like one wrong move and it's all over.
It was a high-stakes gamble for sure.
But it paid off.
He gets behind the 109, but this German pilot was no slouch. He was good, evading Candelaria's attacks again and again. Candelaria even said later, "He was making a fool out of me. Every time I tried to get a gun sight on him, he'd do something fancy, and I'd go sailing past."
So he was up against a real pro. What happened next?
Well, the German pilot tries a loop, hoping to shake him off, but Candelaria stays right with him, turning and twisting through the sky. They end up in this tight spiral, almost like a deadly dance.
Okay, the tension is building here. What happens next? Does Candelaria finally get his shot?
This is where things get really interesting. Candelaria decides to try something incredibly risky. It was a maneuver so daring it could have easily ended in disaster.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear this, but we'll have to save that for part 3. Okay, so last time we left Candelaria in a tight spiral with this German ace, both pushing their planes to the limit. He was about to try something super risky. So what happened?
Yeah, so he cuts the engine power and kicks the rudder hard, trying to swing the Mustang's nose around to get a shot at the Me-109.
Wow, that's a crazy move.
Yeah.
I mean, if he misjudged it, he could have stalled out thousands of feet in the air.
It was a huge risk, for sure. But Candelaria knew the Mustang. He was really pushing it to the edge, but he pulled it off. He later said, "I pulled back as hard as I could just above the stall. As I did that, I loosened the pressure and kicked the rudder, and the wind just slid around almost behind him."
So he got him.
He did. He got this brief window, and bam, he lets loose with those 6.50 caliber machine guns. The Mi-109 starts trailing smoke, spiraling down. Candelaria sees the German pilot bail out.
But it wasn't over yet.
No, the other German fighters, they see their leader go down, and they're furious. They come at Candelaria from all sides.
He was outnumbered again. How did he survive that?
Well, the Germans, they were flying in this defensive formation called a Luftberry circle. It's like a rotating circle of fighters. Really hard to attack one without being exposed to the others.
So he's trapped.
Pretty much. But Candelaria, he uses this tactic he called slash and dash. He dives through the circle, tries to get a quick shot off, then pulls up before the others can target him.
Talk about living on the edge. Did it work?
Amazingly, yeah. He manages to shoot down another Mi-109, but then another one gets on his tail.
So it's like a never-ending cycle.
It was. But this time, Candelaria's got an advantage. They end up in this tight right-hand turn, and that's where the Mustang really shines.
Why was that?
The Mustang was great in right-hand turns, and the Mi-109, it didn't perform as well in those.
So it's like he was using his opponent's weakness against him. Pretty clever.
Yeah, Candelaria waits for the right moment, and boom, the Mi-109 goes down. His 4th kill of the day.
4 kills. That's unbelievable. And just then, his squadron finally shows up.
Just in the nick of time, those remaining German fighters, they see the reinforcements, and they take off.
What a story.
Yeah.
Candelaria lands, exhausted, but what an incredible performance. 4 confirmed kills, plus that probable jet kill earlier. It's amazing.
It really shows what a skilled pilot he was, and the P-51 played a big role in that success.
Definitely. I mean, nearly 5,000 enemy aircraft destroyed in Europe alone. That's a testament to both the aircraft and the pilots.
They were a formidable team. The Mustang was instrumental in helping the Allies win air superiority, a turning point in the war.
And its legacy goes way beyond World War II, right? It's an icon. Even today, you see them at air shows, people are still mesmerized by them.
It represents American ingenuity, air power. There's a romance to it, you know. A modern pilot in the documentary even said that if he could fly only one plane, it would be the Mustang.
Wow, that's high praise.
It really is the ultimate flying experience for many pilots. From those harrowing dogfights to its sleek design, it's a piece of history that continues to capture our imagination.
Well, from those incredible pilot stories, those death-defying maneuvers, to the sheer impact the Mustang had on the war, it's definitely earned its place in history.
It really has.
So what do you think? What makes the P-51 Mustang such an enduring icon? Is it the engineering? The stories of the brave pilots? What resonated with you the most from today's deep dive? Let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.